Welcome back. This is 26.2 at 50. It is August 10th today, and I am just finishing week 10 of my 18-week training plan to run the Portland Marathon this October. This was definitely an intense week. I just ran 17 miles this morning. We're in a heat advisory period here, so I had to wake up pretty early to get that done before it got too hot. It was like almost 80 by the time I finished, 80 Fahrenheit. And I ran 8 yesterday, so almost a full marathon of distance this weekend. I feel good. I ran the 8 yesterday. I ran at full race pace, so I was just under 9 minutes per mile, so right kind of where I want to be for the full marathon. And the run today was longer, of course, and I ran that at just under 10 minutes per mile, so also good pace, but it was a really long week. I ran 41 total this week, and next week it's kind of more of the same. I know the long run for next Sunday is 18. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of intense from here on out these last couple of months. I am feeling good. I'm definitely getting a little bit nervous as I get closer to the big day, and mostly I'm just kind of mindful of this plan that I'm following, that I'm not going to actually run a marathon distance training wise before the big day. And there is a good reason for that. Like, there is definitely an argument for kind of saving your best effort for that big day. But it makes me a little bit nervous knowing that the longest training run I'm going to do is 20 miles. It's actually going to be a little bit short of that. And like the longest pace run, like longest race pace run I'm going to do is only 8 miles. So yeah, as we get closer to that, I'm definitely starting to think wow, I hope I'm like going to be physically ready for this, and physically ready to, I guess, to finish in 4 hours. Because I am starting to think back to the only other time when I ran a marathon, which was 2022, and like the last few miles of that were like very tough physically, and I want to not repeat that. But at this point, I just have to kind of have some faith that the work I'm doing, the work I'm putting in, will have the result that I want. At this point, what are you going to do? So, on the positive side, I think I've figured out like a solution to sort of a physical malady that I've been having throughout the training. So I've been having like kind of just a chronically like irritated, upset stomach. Like, not really like nauseous or anything, not like throwing up or anything, but like just upset like all the time. And I think I figured out that my issue has been basically electrolyte depletion. So I'm not normally a big believer in like supplementing electrolytes. Like, I don't drink Gatorade or anything, and mostly my understanding is that it's usually not necessary. Like, unless you sweat a ton when you work out, like, you don't usually need to like supplement electrolytes. But if you're doing things like running 17 miles at a stretch in the summer heat, like I'm doing, maybe your body does need it. Maybe you are actually sweating that much of the sodium out of your body. So in the last few weeks, I've tried supplementing with this, which is like specifically an electrolyte drink mix. And now this is a lot of sodium in this. So it's like a full gram of sodium in this. So it's like, this is not something you would just like add to your water to improve the taste. It is a ton of sodium. But if your body is getting that depleted, maybe you need it. And as I've been doing this these past few weeks, I've just been feeling a lot better physically. So I hope that is a promising thing that continues. So yeah, otherwise, I wanted to go through some advice today about basically other kinds of exercise that you should strongly consider doing in addition to your running if you're training for a marathon. So, it goes without saying, like, when it comes to a marathon, like how you finish, whether you finish, how fast you finish, how you feel, like the training runs are by far the most important part of that process, like obviously. But other exercises can make a big difference when it comes to they can make a difference for improving your performance, but they can make a huge difference for preventing injuries, which is a critical piece of your training. So and I'm kind of proof of that, because like before about 2023 I didn't do any kind of systematic like exercises other than my running, and I've gotten really good about it this year, and my runs have definitely been faster. The other thing that I've noticed is like the injury stuff. So prior to 2023, like I used to struggle with calf strains, just annoying muscular injuries. Like I would have them all the time. And since I started doing a bit of strength work, I don't really have that anymore. So I am definitely proof positive that this stuff can be a big help. So the first type of exercise I'd like to talk about is strength training. So the big benefit of doing strength work is injury prevention, just with your muscles and like the tendons and ligaments. Like strength work will really help you out there. I guess like as like the aside, I know that like I'm talking about race training at 50 years old, and I guess for a general audience of people wanting to get more fit at that age, like strength work is a really good idea, or as you get into your 50s, just for your general health, even if you have no real interest in running a marathon. I mean, like as we get older, like we just lose muscle mass, we lose bone density. That's just what aging is about. And starting strength work now will do a lot for your quality of life, like a few decades from now. So like I'll be doing strength work even if like after the race is done, put it that way. But the other thing I would definitely be clear about at the outset when I talk about strength training for a marathon runner is like you don't have to go crazy. Like this isn't about like becoming Arnold Schwarzenegger, like becoming some like giant like mountain of muscle, right? Like that's not what I'm talking about. Like if nothing else, like when you're training for a marathon, your diet is so heavily tilted towards like carbs that like I don't even know if you could eat enough protein to make that happen. But you don't have to go that crazy. I would definitely recommend, so how I do strength stuff is that I just do it on my non-running days. So in a marathon training plan, you're generally going to be running like 4 or 5 days each week. And so I would recommend this on those off days. And again, you don't have to go crazy. Like you can do like 30 or 40 minutes of strength training. That's all I do. And you don't need to go crazy with the weight either. Like you don't need to try to lift huge amounts. You can do body weight exercises. You can use like small dumbbells. Like it's really just about putting in that work. So what should you do? Well, so there are kind of 3 categories of this. I mean, first is going to be like leg work. So obviously you want to work on like the muscles that support your running. So this would be things like squats. It would be things like lunges, calf raises, split squats, which some people call Bulgarians. Things like that. Again, you can just do body weight. Don't need to do a ton of weight. So the next bit of exercise you would want to think about doing would be core work. For most people, this is just like planks. I hate doing planks, but it's a really good idea for a marathon runner to have a strong core. As far as upper body work, You can do it. I do it. And ideally, you would kind of tilt it towards lifts that involve like kind of the whole trunk of your body. So, like bench presses, but especially overhead presses would be really good in that context. The second type of exercise you would want to think about doing is cross training. And all cross training is for a marathon runner is just like basically any sort of like aerobic cardio activity that's not your running. So this can be, I like taking like a decent walk after a long run, just to keep my muscles from getting too tight. But like a brisk walk is fine for cross training, but this can also include like cycling or using a stationary bike or using an elliptical, stuff like that. Like it's fine. It's so basically the point of cross training is really that it kind of prevents like your body from getting burned out by the running. It enhances your recovery. So this is a good idea to do some work like this on your run days. And again, it doesn't have to be very intense. The last type of activity I would also want to talk about is basically mobility stuff, so stretching. And so this covers kind of two categories of stuff, basically like what you do before you run and what you do after your run. So like I said, I had like chronic calf problems for so many years that like every time before I go running, I don't even think about it anymore. I just like start stretching out my calves. I start stretching out my ankles and like, but actually when you do stretches before you run, you actually want to emphasize like dynamic stretches. So basically stretches that you do while you're moving. So this can be like leg swings. It can be like walking lunges. I worked with a trainer a few years ago. We had this fantastic exercise. I think he called it like an ostrich walk, where like basically you kind of like lean forward, kind of like a forward fold in yoga, and you like grab onto your ankles and you basically take like small steps with your legs as straight as possible. It's a fantastic hamstring stretch. So things like that are great things to do before you run. After you run, you should definitely stretch, and after the run, you can definitely emphasize like more stationary stretches, more static stretches. So just kind of mostly focused on your leg muscle, like stretching your quads, things like that. I don't want to give like a ton of really specific recommendations here, like as far as what exercises you should do, just because everyone's different, and I'm not a trainer, so just to be completely clear about that. But if you're looking for more specific guidance on strength work, cross training work, stretches, like I would definitely try to speak to a personal trainer. They can definitely help you. So I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being with me throughout this whole journey, which is more than halfway done now. But feel free to leave me a comment. I would love it if you'd subscribe. And otherwise, have a great day, and I will see you next week.